All right, welcome everybody to the semi-finals recap and the grand finals preview for Team Tour Season 7. We're finally at the very end, the last video for the Team Tour. Um, so I'll just get right into it, talk about the matchups from last week, and then do a little bit of predictions, I guess, for the coming week. So Teedisc team beat Cemi team 5-2. A little actually surprising. I personally did pick Teedisc team to win. I just wasn't expecting it to be this much of a blowout. There was a lot more like 3-0s than I would have expected there to be. I did have them winning though. So I think Teedisc really cooked with the matchups here. I did think Cemi's team was probably better on paper, but I think Teedisc team definitely they showed out. They got good matchups and they've been doing really good recently. I talked about how in the past how their bottom seeds I wasn't as confident with them, and I think all their bottom seeds have gotten much better. So yeah, I'm like Mirko 3-0 Lulakita. Even if Mirko is maybe slightly favored in that matchup, the 3-0 is very nice. Good win for Mirko. Teedisc 3 over Philip is kind of expected. He's just a little too good. Cheese Master at 3-1 over Wolfgang is very impressive. Cheese Master's been looking really good recently, I think. His pack 2 has been doing a lot better. And I think he's definitely not an easy low seed matchup for anybody. Pooh Balls versus Anon was like a great set. I think both players played pretty good. Both had some high rolls, both missed a couple games. Good, it was a good set for sure. Nice win though for Pooh Balls. Anon is a good player, and I think this was a close set. I think maybe Anon is slightly favored on paper, but I mean it can really go either way. And I think really good win for Pooh Balls. He had a lot of games where Anon hit pretty hard, and he still managed to find a way to make it a close set and win. So shout out to him. Anon had a good season though, I think, for his rookie year. Wombat Cemi. A 3-1 win for Wombat, and a lot of people had Cemi favored. I had Cemi slightly favored, not as much as other people, I think. But I did have Cemi winning, as I talked about in the last video. But Wombat, he played pretty good. It seemed like everything was pretty reasonable, and excited to see him in the future. Then at Noob Skills versus Oscar. Good win for Noob Skills. It was already over by then. But I think this kind of makes sense. Oscar's had a really good season, but Noob Skills is like one of the best Pack 1 mirror players, I think, in the game. So I think that's a really good win for Noob Skills there. And then Fluffo versus Onet. Set was again, week was already over, but good win for Fluffo. Interested to see how Onet does in moving forward. He's had an interesting season, little all over the place. That's got some nice wins, got some weird losses. So, we'll talk about the finals matchup more against Damon, but Onet's an interesting player right now, I think. Then getting into our other semifinals matchup was Hop's team versus Knob's team. This one went all the way down to the wire. 3-3. Amza versus OG went all the way to game 5. Final game for that one. Amza, a reverse sweep over OG. Amza looked a little shaky for sure on his pack 1. It wasn't like horrible or anything, but he definitely didn't look, as good as you would want him to in that set. But he still got the win. OG looked, I think better probably than expected. He's had a weird season. Not the best record wise. He's got some decent wins. I don't know. I think OG had a decent season, but definitely not exactly what he would want. He had a lot of like close sets, so weird season for sure for OG. I'm interested to see what he does like in the future seasons. Rex Pogai, I didn't get to watch the set, but I think it was a reverse sweep that went down to the wire. So shout out to Rex on that win. Pogai was undefeated going into this point. And Rex, huge win for them. And they needed everyone they could get in the series, so crazy good win for Rex. Damon and Monkey kind of went as expected. Damon kind of just took him out how it was supposed to happen. Dune versus Crocs was way closer than expected. Crocs definitely struggled a little bit, missed some stuff in that set, but he still got the win. I think Dune looked a lot better. This gives a little more help, I think, for Hop's team for Dune in the finals. Gives them a little bit more confidence because I think Dune looked a lot better in this set than he has in the previous sets, even with it being a loss. I think most people would expect this to probably be a 3-0, 3-1. And Dune making it all the way to game 5 and looking a lot better with his boards, I think is a good outcome for them, really. Then Goose K-Tom. I think a lot of people had Goose here, which I kind of was a little bit surprised. I know K-Tom doesn't have the best season, but I just think K-Tom is a pretty substantially better player than Goose is right now. Goose, we'll see looking forward. We saw in the finals matchup they kind of had to use Goose as a throw matchup because he couldn't really beat the bottom seeds. Hopefully Goose proves me wrong, but he hasn't had the best season and the best results. But, you obviously want something a little bit better than the 3-0, but maybe he can come back. Good win for K-Tom, even though we said a rough season. Then Hop versus Knob. All the way to game 9 in a best of 9. I think I was told that Hop was up 4-0 and then Knob brought it all the way to game 9, but not for sure on that one. Hop, I think for the games I watched, he played pretty good though. I mean, same thing with Knob. I mean, I think Knob was playing a little bit too fast. I was a little confused. It seemed like Knob wasn't as locked in as you would want him to be. Knob always plays fast, but he was missing some mistakes that I think Knob usually wouldn't be missing. So I think definitely you would want to, you wanted a little bit more, especially when, after you see the full results, and you're looking at it, if Knob wins that last game, they move on. So a little rough for Knob, but I think both played pretty reasonable. I think Hop played pretty good, and weird season for Knob. Played decent, but lost both of his playoff sets. So I don't know. Interesting season for Knob. Phoenix versus Kelby. Another set I did not get to watch, but Kelby took care of business. I did take the upset here. So good win for Kelby. I think it definitely wasn't a super easy win. But Kelby probably was favored, and I think Phoenix is still a good player though, and going forward, I think in the playoffs, in the finals, so it'll probably be fun. Now let's get into the finals preview. I'm not going to do a ranking because these are the last two teams. Obviously, they're the top two. If I had to say, I mean, on paper, Hop's team is maybe better. But with Teedisc's team having improved depth, it's actually probably closer than you would expect. Because I think their bottom 3 is probably stronger than the other side's bottom 3. So it's pretty close. I could see the argument both ways. So I decided not to do a ranking. But it's the final two teams. So we'll just talk purely on the matchups at hand here, because that's what's more important. Hop versus Teedisc. This is a very interesting set. One of the swing sets. There's a couple swing sets I think in here that will determine the whole thing. Hop Teedisc, definitely one of the swing sets. I would imagine it will probably be Hop's 1 versus Teedisc 2. Could maybe see Hop go to a mirror if he feels more confident in that matchup. I'm not for sure. But I would imagine Hop at least starts pack 1. I think overall Hop is probably a slight favorite here, but it's like pretty close. Like I'm gonna give Hop more than like a 55-45 edge. So I mean it could really go either way. It's probably gonna honestly come down to whoever's playing better that day or whoever hits slightly better. And definitely one of the bigger swing sets here. I would lean Hop, but it could fall either way. Then Phoenix Wombat. I think Phoenix is a really big favorite here. Wombat has looked improved in the playoffs. He's looking a little bit better, not amazing, but better. But I think Phoenix is just really good for his seed range. I think he's just a good player that can beat really anybody on any given day. And I think as long as Phoenix knows that Wombat has some of the other Pack 3s, Pack 2s in there, and knows how to play against them at least at a reasonable rate. Phoenix should be a pretty big favorite to win that one. Rex Mirko, another one that is a huge swing set. I think it honestly could come down to this one as well. Um, and I think this one was really hard for me. I did some research into okay, how is Rex done against Pac 2? He hasn't really had to play a whole bunch of Pac 2 players this season. Mirko has been doing a lot better recently. I think this one is like almost a pure flip. I give a slight lean probably towards Rex just because he's been doing a lot better recently. He's coming off a lot of good wins. And I think as long as Rex takes the time this week to practice against Pac 2, I think if Hop and Damon get Rex in the lab, get him some Pac 2 practice, tell him the basic stuff, I think Rex will probably be a favorite here. But, it could really... I wouldn't be surprised if Mirko won, but I think as long as Rex figures out the matchup, feels comfortable in the matchup, I feel like he's the slightly better player and is probably favored here. Damon versus Onet. Close. I think there's a close matchup too. I think Damon, as of late, is probably the undisputed better player out of the two. But I mean, Onet, insane legacy player. He's played in all the big spots. I don't think he's gonna really feel insane amount of pressure. I've been on a team with Onet, and even when he's not having the best season, Onet is the type of player where you can put him against any player in the world, and you can feel confident that he's got at least a pretty good chance. You can never really count out Onet, I think, in any set, which makes him such a tough matchup. Again, I would probably still lean Damon, though. I think Damon is one of the best players in the world right now. And he's debatably underrated, which is crazy to say, but I think he's probably a top 5 player in the game. He's playing really good recently. He's been playing, just playing good, and I think he's good in this mirror matchup. I think Onet has had a little bit more struggles as of late than Damon, so I'll give the hedge to Damon, but I would not be surprised if Onet wins for sure. Dune versus Cheesemaster, another one that's pretty close. I think Cheesemaster is a pretty decent favorite. It's definitely not super far. But I think Dune is not... He's known to not be very good at this matchup versus Pac 2. And Cheesemaster, I think, is a pretty good Pac 2 player. He's got a lot more probably experience in the 2 versus 1 than Dune does. I think if Dune goes Pac 3, Cheesemaster is probably still fine. I don't think it should mess him up too much. The game plan is pretty similar versus those 2 packs. So I think Cheesemaster probably the favorite. But it's possible for Dune. He looked a lot better in his last set. But I think again, it's the same situation as Rex. Dune has to lab versus Pac 2. I just think Cheesemaster is a better Pac 2 player. So I'll give the lean to Cheesemaster on that one. Pooh versus Amza. This matchup did happen previously in the season. I believe Pooh won 3-2. I think, especially after last week, I think if it's a 1 year, Pooh Balls is a pretty heavy favorite. I would imagine Amza goes to Pac 2. I still think Pooh Balls is fine in that matchup, though. I don't think Amza is a bad player. I just think Pooh Balls has been doing really good recently. I think he's a really good player. And I think Pooh will probably be fairly favored in this matchup. And I would give the lean to Pooh Balls there. Oscar versus Goose. Obviously, I think Oscar's a heavy favorite in this matchup. I'd be very surprised if Goose pulled it out. I think Goose has had a rough season. Oscar's had a great season. I think Oscar's pretty good at the 1 mirror, it seems like. And I'm going to give a pretty big edge to Oscar there. So, recapping it, I think I'd probably take Hop, Phoenix, Rex, Damon, Cheesemaster, Pooh Balls, Oscar, meaning I have the Strawberry Hat Pirates winning 4-3. But I mean, a lot of swing sets. I think it's definitely worth mentioning. I think that Tita's team has more of the heavy favored matchups. Like I think these three matches, I'm pretty confident saying I think they're gonna win, which means they only have to win one of these four. Whereas this team, I think they have the advantage in the close matchups, but don't have as many big hedges outside of Phoenix Wombat. So I think it's gonna really come down to can Hop's team close out all these close swing matches and come through in the big spots. Even though I think I have them favored, it's gonna not. It's definitely I think probably gonna. I would be extremely surprised if it's not 4-3. Um, I think these teams are very close. I think Tita's team. I think their depth is gotten much better throughout the season. And I think he's put his team in the best position possible with his matchups. I don't think Tita's team is the best on paper, talent wise. Good team for sure, but on top, I think there's some better teams. But I think Tita's has done really good in the matchups, even though I hate giving Tita's credit. Um, so I'm excited to see how it goes. I'm gonna be trying to watch as many of these as possible. Um, we'll have the award show, and yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty much all I have to say about this. So excited to see the matchups. It's been a fun season. And we'll be back for more draft coverage for next season and recaps and all that. So see everybody in the next season.